What's up, YouTube? John with Tactical Trading here, making a quick little video from the front seat of the truck here. This is going to be a short little video explaining, and I'm going to have a couple of these throughout the next couple of weeks, videos that are actually explaining and talking about some of the terms in the stock market. Also look out for later on, either tonight or tomorrow, recap video of the stocks that we went over on Saturday for this week. Looks like we did pretty good on the majority of those. There's a few other stocks that kind of popped into the scene, like there always is, because the stock market's an unpredictable thing. And we will talk about those and also do some picks for later in the week. And again, always, as always, we will have videos that go along every Saturday, every Tuesday, and we'll probably throw in a couple throughout the week. But this is going to be a video talking about float. Now, when I talk about finding a stock and finding a stock that you want to trade and that is good to trade, one of the main things I look for. Now, I'm going to talk about actually what I look for in a whole quickly, but then describe what I'm looking for as far as with the float. Now, when I'm doing a stock scan, and I'm going to do a video on how I scan for stocks on a weekly and daily basis, I have a couple of criteria that I put into the scanner. I'm typically trading stocks under $5. In fact, the majority of the time I'm trading stocks under $5. I'm looking for stocks that have a relative volume of 2 or better, which means that, say a stock trades 500,000 shares on average a day, the stock has to be trading at least 1 million shares for me to trade it. It has to be trading at least a relative volume of 2 or better, which means it's trading 2 times or better the average volume. Another thing I'm looking for is outstanding shares. I like to look for a stock with outstanding shares under 20 million. This being because, and this falls into the same line as float. Outstanding shares is how many shares are available total. Let me turn this air conditioning down. It sounds like you're probably in a wind tunnel. And float is another thing I look for. Float is the actual shares that are available to be traded. So a company could have 11 million outstanding shares, but only have 4 million float. What this means is that there's insiders in the company that own a certain amount of these shares. I mean, obviously, if you have 11 million to 4 million, there's 7 million available, or 7 million shares that are kept up and held by insiders in the company. The reason that float is the most important, in my opinion, why I think the float is the most important for a stock to go parabolic and have big moves, is because that is the actual amount of shares that are available to the public. Now, if you have a stock with, let's just use round numbers. Let's say you have a stock that has 1 million float, and the stock trades 25 million times. So shares trade hands 25 million times throughout that day. What happens is that 1 million float gets rotated 25 times, with 25 million shares traded. So that means that 1 million shares gets rotated 25 times. Now, throughout that, there are going to be some people who look at this, because obviously there's different types of traders out there. So you will have people that are long-term investors who see this as an opportunity to hold on to a stock for the long term. So what they're going to do is they're going to buy these shares and tuck them away. There's also swing traders, and those are traders that hold the shares for overnight, or hold the shares for 2, 3, 4 days, 3, 4 weeks. And what they're going to do is tuck the shares away. Those shares are going to fall out of rotation. So the first time it goes around, you have 1 million shares. Then you have 990,000 shares. Or 990,000 shares. Then the next time it comes around, there's more guys coming around. There's 895,000 shares around. Every time that float rotates, there's less and less shares, which creates a supply and demand situation. And when you have this supply and demand situation, there is a want for these shares. Obviously, one of the main things I look for in a stock is news. I don't typically like to trade a stock that is gapping up with no news. Those are the stocks that typically gap up and crash in the early part of the day. In fact, today there was a stock, HEPA. They had some news on COVID-19. they had some news on a drug or something or another. The stock actually shot up from, if I'm not mistaken, the low twos shot up all the way to 475 and pulled back. Now this is a stock that I actually took part in. I actually purchased the stock to hold overnight. I bought the stock at $3.95. Right now it's trading at about $4.50. My plan is to swing trade this till first thing in the morning tomorrow. I may get rid of it pre-market, depending on how it's acting, or I may just hold it to the market open. But this stock only has approximately 3 or 4 million shares available, and it is traded 39 million times so far at this point of the day. So this stock, this float is rotated over 10 times. And what happens, like I said, there's a supply and demand with this. Because the stock has news, people see this news, they notice the news, they want to get involved with this stock. They also see that the stock is going up significantly, so they want to be part of this. There's FOMO involved, the fear of missing out on a play. You get a lot of people that jump in on this play because they see the stock going up and they want to be part of it. They want to make that they want to make that money. So this is the reason why float is so important, because with the low float, this causes the stock to go parabolic. These are the stocks that can go from $1 to $6, $3 to $22. These are the stocks that can do that. You're very rarely going to find a stock with very high float that's going to go parabolic. So, like I said, the definition of float is the available shares for trading. So that means retail investors like you and me, and your hedge funds and such, and your guys who run mutual funds and different things like that, but mainly retail traders. We are the ones that are able to get a hold of those shares. Those are the shares that you can go on your TD Ameritrade account or your E-Trade account or your any account that you have, your CMG account or CMEG account, and you can go in there and buy these shares. The float is the shares available. So whenever you're looking for a stock to trade, and this is what I suggest doing every night, you go on FinViz. FINVIZ. It's a free website to use. It's a tool that is absolutely free. You go on FinViz and you go to the top of the screen, and I'll be having a video on this, showing you exactly the steps to take with this. But you go on FinViz and you go to Stock Screener. You hit that tab, and then you go all the way to the right on the top of the screen, and it'll say All. You tap All. This will bring all of the criteria that they have available. And luckily, because when I started trading, FinViz did not have outstanding shares and float available. You could not screen for this. So this is something you had to look up. Now, they would tell you when you looked and you tapped on the stock and looked at it, but you couldn't use this as a criteria to funnel through stocks and to use as a search criteria. So what I do is I go to price, and I go under $5. Then I move to average volume, and I put 1 million. Then I go to relative volume, and I put over 2. Or relative volume, over 2. Then I go to outstanding shares, under 20 million, float under 10 million. So write that down. This is something you can go on FinViz every night and screen these. And these are perfect for doing any swing trading or looking for something to buy throughout the day. So I hope this was a little bit of a help. If there's any questions, please put it at the bottom of the screen. Please subscribe, like, share, and like I said, any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Please put it at the bottom of the screen. You guys have a good day, and let's get that money.